There's a specific moment that changes everything in your financial life. It's not when you make your first million. It's not when you buy your first house. It's not even when you get your first real job. It's way earlier than that, and honestly, way more achievable. It's when you save your first $10,000. I know what you're thinking. $10,000? That's it? That's the magic number? Yes. And if you currently have less than that saved, you have no idea how different your life is about to become once you hit it. If you already have it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. $10,000 is the threshold where everything shifts. Your options multiply, your stress decreases, your confidence increases. Opportunities that were completely invisible suddenly become obvious. It's like putting on glasses for the first time and realizing the world has detail you couldn't see before. This isn't about being rich. 10 grand doesn't make you wealthy, but it makes you something arguably more important. It makes you unbroke. And unbroke is a completely different game than broke. See, when you're broke, when you've got maybe a few hundred or a couple thousand saved, you're playing defense. Every financial decision is about avoiding disaster. You're one car repair, one medical bill, one unexpected expense away from crisis. Your entire life is reactive. But when you hit $10,000, you switch to offense. You start making decisions based on opportunity, not just survival. You can take calculated risks. You can invest in yourself. You can say no to things that don't serve you. You have options, and options are power. In this video, we're going to break down exactly why $10,000 is the magic number, what changes once you have it, and most importantly, what opportunities become available that were completely off the table before. We're talking about business investments, time freedom, leverage, negotiating power, and a completely different relationship with money. Fair warning. If you don't have $10,000 saved yet, this might make you uncomfortable. Good. Use that discomfort as motivation. And if you do have it saved but haven't been using it strategically, this is going to show you what you've been missing. Let's talk about why everything changes after saving $10,000 and what you should actually do with that power. Chapter 1. The psychological shift from scarcity to possibility. Before we talk about what you can do with $10,000, we need to talk about what having $10,000 does to your brain. Because the first change isn't financial, it's psychological. And that psychological shift is what enables everything else. The scarcity mindset prison. When you're living paycheck to paycheck with minimal savings, you operate from scarcity. Every decision is filtered through, can I afford this? And the answer is usually no, or technically yes, but it'll hurt. This creates a specific type of stress that affects everything. You can't focus fully at work because you're worried about money. You can't sleep well because unexpected expenses terrify you. You can't make long-term plans because you're constantly putting out short-term fires. Your brain is stuck in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you can't think strategically. You can't plan. You can't invest in the future because the present is consuming all your mental energy. This is why broke people often make poor financial decisions that keep them broke. It's not stupidity, it's cognitive overload. When your brain is maxed out worrying about immediate survival, you don't have the mental bandwidth for good long-term decisions. But then you hit $10,000 in savings, and something shifts. The first deep breath. That $10,000 creates a buffer between you and financial disaster. Car breaks down, annoying but not devastating. Lose your job, scary, but you've got a few months to figure it out. Medical bill, it sucks, but it won't destroy you. For the first time in maybe your entire adult life, you take a deep breath. The constant, low-level panic that's been humming in the background of your mind quiets down. This isn't about being comfortable or relaxed. You're not rich, but you're no longer operating in pure survival mode. You've created breathing room, and that breathing room changes how you think. You start making decisions based on what's smart long-term instead of what solves the immediate problem. You can actually plan because you're not constantly reacting to crises. This mental shift is worth more than the $10,000 itself, because when you can think clearly, you make better decisions, and better decisions compound into better outcomes. Confidence that changes behavior. Here's something weird that happens. Having $10,000 saved makes you more confident in situations that have nothing to do with that money. Job interview, you're more confident because you're not desperate. You can walk away if the offer is bad. This confidence makes you perform better and negotiate harder. Asking for a raise? You're more confident because getting fired isn't an immediate catastrophe. You have runway. This confidence makes you more likely to ask and more likely to succeed. Starting a side business, you're more confident because failure isn't devastating. You can take calculated risks. This confidence makes you more likely to try things that could actually work. The money itself isn't making you successful in these situations, but the psychological foundation it creates, the removal of desperation, that changes how you show up, and how you show up determines outcomes. The abundance mindset. Unlock scarcity mindset says, there's never enough. I need to protect what I have. Opportunities are rare and I'll probably miss them. Abundance mindset says, there are always opportunities. I can create value. I can afford to take strategic risks. You can't force yourself into abundance mindset when you're actually broke. That's just toxic positivity. But when you have $10,000 saved, abundance mindset becomes rational instead of delusional. You're not thinking, I need to hoard this money forever. You're thinking, I have a foundation. I can build on it. I can use it strategically. This mindset shift opens up possibilities that were literally invisible before. You start seeing opportunities instead of just problems. You start thinking about growth instead of just survival. The time horizon extension. Broke people think in terms of days and weeks. How do I make it to next paycheck? People with $10,000 saved start thinking in terms of months and years. What can I build over the next 6 months? Where do I want to be in 2 years? This extended time horizon is crucial because wealth building requires long-term thinking. Investments need time to compound, skills need time to develop, businesses need time to grow, but you can't think long-term when you're worried about short-term survival. The $10,000 buffer gives you the luxury of thinking beyond the immediate. And once you can think long-term, you can plan long-term, and once you can plan long-term, you can build long-term. That's when real wealth starts accumulating. The no power. This might be the most underrated benefit. Having $10,000 saved gives you the power to say no. Bad job offer? No. Exploitative client? No. Toxic work environment? No. Financial opportunity that doesn't align with your goals? No. When you're broke, you can't say no. You need the money too badly. You take what you can get and you're grateful for it. This puts you in a weak negotiating position in every aspect of life. But with a financial cushion, you can afford to be selective. You can walk away from things that don't serve you. You can hold out for better opportunities. This no power is incredibly valuable. It means you're choosing your path instead of accepting whatever's available. You're in control instead of desperate. The stress reduction multiplier. Financial stress affects everything. Your health, relationships, work performance, decision-making, sleep quality, mental health, everything. Having $10,000 saved doesn't eliminate financial stress completely, but it dramatically reduces it. And that reduction has multiplier effects across your entire life. You sleep better, so you're more productive. You're less anxious, so your relationships improve. You think more clearly, so your work performance increases. You're healthier, so you have more energy. These benefits compound. Better sleep leads to better decisions, which leads to better outcomes, which reduces stress further. It's a positive feedback loop, all triggered by crossing that $10,000 threshold. The identity shift. Here's something subtle but powerful. When you have $10,000 saved, you start seeing yourself differently. You're no longer a broke person trying to get by. You're a person who has their shit together financially. That's a different identity, and identity drives behavior. People who see themselves as financially responsible make different choices than people who see themselves as broke. They invest more. They avoid stupid purchases. They think long-term. They build. The $10,000 isn't just money in the bank. It's proof to yourself that you can save, plan, and execute, that you're capable of financial discipline, that you're not a victim of circumstances. This identity shift is subtle, but it changes everything about how you approach money going forward. Chapter 2. The Emergency Fund Superpower. Why security creates opportunity. Let's talk about the most boring and most important thing your $10,000 does. It's your emergency fund. I know, emergency funds sound about as exciting as watching paint dry. But stick with me, because this boring foundation unlocks everything else we're going to talk about. What emergency actually means. First, let's be clear about what qualifies as an emergency. Spoiler, it's not a sale at your favorite store. Real emergencies. Job loss, medical expenses not covered by insurance, car repairs needed to get to work, essential home repairs, broken furnace, roof leak, etc. Unexpected travel for family emergencies, not emergencies, wanting a new phone, sales and deals, vacation opportunities, upgrading perfectly functional items, lifestyle inflation desires. The distinction matters because if you raid your emergency fund for non-emergencies, you no longer have an emergency fund, you have a spending account that occasionally has money in it. Different thing. The 3 to 6 month rule. Financial advisors typically recommend 3 to 6 months of expenses as an emergency fund. If your monthly expenses are $3,000, that's $9,000 to $18,000. The $10,000 mark gets you solidly into that range. Why 3 to 6 months? Because that's roughly how long it takes to find a new job if you lose yours, or to recover from most financial setbacks. 3 months is minimum viable, 6 months is comfortable. More than that is arguably too conservative unless you have specific reasons. Self-employed, single-income household, volatile industry. The point is, $10,000 represents legitimate security for most people. It's not theoretical protection, it's real runway if things go wrong. The insurance you don't pay premiums for. Think of your emergency fund as insurance, except instead of paying monthly premiums to an insurance company, you pay yourself. And if you never need it, you still have the money. This insurance covers gaps that regular insurance doesn't. The deductible on your health insurance, your expenses while you're between jobs, repairs to old cars that aren't worth comprehensive insurance. The period before unemployment benefits kick in, traditional insurance has premiums, deductibles, and coverage limits. Your emergency fund has none of that. It's pure protection that costs nothing to maintain and pays out instantly when needed. The job negotiation leverage. Here's where the emergency fund becomes offensive instead of just defensive. It gives you leverage in job situations. Negotiating salary? You can hold firm on your number because you can afford to walk away. You're not desperate, so you don't accept lowball offers. Toxic work environment? You can quit before you have another job lined up because you have runway. This means you're not trapped in situations that destroy your mental health. Want to transition careers? You can afford to take a pay cut temporarily or invest time in retraining because you're not living paycheck to paycheck. The emergency fund transforms from protection against disaster into foundation for career mobility. Same money, completely different utility. The side business runway. Want to start a business? The biggest barrier for most people is, what if it fails and I can't? Pay my bills? With $10,000 saved, you have 3 to 6 months to try. That's enough time to validate a business idea, test the market, and see if it has potential. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you learned valuable lessons and still have your safety net. Either way, you took a shot that you couldn't have taken when broke. This is how most successful businesses start, not with someone quitting their job with zero savings and betting on themselves. That's usually just gambling. But with someone who has enough runway to experiment while maintaining security. The emergency fund isn't anti-entrepreneurship, it's what makes smart entrepreneurship possible. The compound interest on peace of mind money in an emergency fund doesn't generate much return, maybe 4 to 5% in a high-yield savings account. That's not exciting compared to stock market returns. But you're not optimizing for returns with emergency fund money, you're optimizing for availability and security. The return is peace of mind and opportunity access, which can't be measured in percentage points. That peace of mind allows you to take risks with other money. You can invest more aggressively in retirement accounts because you know you won't need to raid them for emergencies. You can start a business because failure won't destroy you. The emergency fund enables higher returns elsewhere by providing the security to take calculated risks. The return is indirect, but very real. The lifestyle inflation defense. Here's a trap people fall into. They save up $10,000, feel secure, and immediately start spending more. They increase their lifestyle because they can afford it now. This defeats the entire purpose. The emergency fund should make you more conservative with your regular spending, not less, because now you have something worth protecting. People who save $10,000 and then increase their spending to match often find themselves back at zero within a year or two, just with more expensive habits. The discipline that got you to $10,000 needs to continue after you hit it. Actually, it needs to intensify because now you're protecting a foundation instead of building from zero. The opportunity fund evolution. Here's where it gets interesting. Once you have a solid emergency fund, you can start building an opportunity fund on top of it. The emergency fund is sacred. It doesn't get touched except for actual emergencies. But the opportunity fund is for calculated investments, business opportunities, education, assets on sale, career transitions. Having both means you can pursue opportunities without compromising your security. You can take smart risks without gambling your foundation. The $10,000 isn't the end goal, it's the foundation for this two-tier system. Emergency fund for security, opportunity fund for growth. Both are necessary for wealth building. The debt avalanche accelerator. If you have high-interest debt, credit cards, personal loans, the emergency fund serves another purpose. It prevents you from going further into debt when emergencies happen. Without an emergency fund, unexpected expenses go on credit cards. You're trying to pay down debt while simultaneously adding more. It's financially treading water. With an emergency fund, emergencies get handled with cash. Your debt payoff strategy stays on track. You're actually making progress instead of constantly resetting. This is why most financial experts recommend building a small emergency fund, $1,000 to $2,000, before aggressively paying off debt, then building it to full size, $10,000 plus, afterward. The emergency fund prevents backsliding. The stress test. The real test of an emergency fund isn't whether you have the money, it's whether you can avoid using it for non-emergencies. This requires discipline and clear boundaries. Some strategies: keep it in a separate account that's not easily accessible. Name the account emergency fund only. Have a written definition of what counts as an emergency. Make yourself wait 24 to 48 hours before accessing it to ensure it's really an emergency. The emergency fund is most powerful when it's rarely used. It should be boring. It should just sit there, providing security and enabling everything else you do financially. If you're dipping into it regularly, either your budget is wrong or your definition of emergency is too loose. Either way, you're undermining the foundation. Chapter 3. The Business Investment Window. When $10,000 becomes rocket fuel. Okay, now we get to the exciting part. You've got your security foundation. You're thinking clearly. You're not desperate. Now what? This is where $10,000 stops being defense and becomes offense. Specifically, it becomes the investment capital that can change your entire financial trajectory. The Business Starter Pack. Here's what most people don't realize. $10,000 is more than enough to start most businesses. Not all businesses, but most. You're not starting a restaurant or a manufacturing company, but you can absolutely start service businesses, consulting, freelancing, coaching, e-commerce stores, dropshipping, print on demand, Amazon FBA, digital product businesses, courses, ebooks, software, content businesses, YouTube, podcast, blog with monetization, local service businesses, pressure washing, lawn care, pet services, online agencies, marketing, design, development. What does $10,000 buy you? Website and hosting. $500 to $2,000. Initial inventory or tools. $1,000 to $3,000. Marketing and ads. $2,000 to $4,000. Legal and accounting setup. $500 to $1,500. Software and systems. $500 to $1,000. Buffer for mistakes and learning. $2,000 to $4,000. You can bootstrap a legitimate business with $10,000 and still have money left over, and if you're strategic, you might only need $3,000 to $5,000, leaving the rest as runway. The point isn't to spend all $10,000, it's that having it removes the "I can't afford to start" excuse. You can afford it. The question is whether you're willing to. The side hustle scale up. Maybe you've already got a side hustle earning $500 to $1,000 per month. It's working, but it's limited because you're bootstrapping everything. $10,000 can scale that dramatically. Hire help so you can focus on high-value activities, invest in better tools that increase efficiency, run ads to acquire customers faster, build systems that allow you to serve more clients, create products that generate passive income. That side hustle earning $1,000 per month might be able to earn $3,000 to $5,000 per month with strategic investment. The difference? Your $10,000 investment could pay for itself in 3 to 4 months, then it's pure additional income. This is how side hustles become main income sources, not by grinding harder, but by investing strategically in growth. The education investment. Not all business investment is starting companies. Sometimes the best investment is in skills that increase your earning power. $10,000 can buy professional certifications that increase your salary, coding boot camps that enable career transitions, marketing courses that teach you to sell sales training that makes you better at generating revenue, specialized skills that make you irreplaceable. The ROI on education can be insane. Spend $5,000 on a certification that increases your salary by $15,000 annually. That pays for itself in 4 months, then continues paying forever. But most people can't invest in education because they can't afford it. Having $10,000 changes that. You can invest in yourself without going into debt. The equipment investment. Many businesses and side hustles are held back by equipment costs. Photography, videography, construction, cooking, music production all require tools. You could spend years saving up while renting equipment or making do with inadequate gear. Or you could invest $3,000 to $7,000 in professional equipment and immediately take on higher paying clients who require professional quality work more efficiently and take more jobs. Build a portfolio that attracts better opportunities. Generate income that pays back the equipment cost quickly. This is the difference between hobbyist income and professional income. The equipment isn't just tools, it's credibility and capability. The marketing investment. Most small businesses and freelancers fail not because their product is bad, but because nobody knows they exist. They have zero marketing budget. Having $10,000 means you can actually invest in customer acquisition, Facebook and Google ads, SEO, and content creation, email marketing systems, networking events and conferences, professional branding and website, PR and media outreach. Spending $2,000 to $3,000 on strategic marketing can generate $10,000 to $20,000 in revenue if done correctly. And once you know what works, you reinvest profits and scale. This is how businesses grow. Strategic investment in customer acquisition, not just hoping people find you organically. The inventory investment. E-commerce businesses often fail because they run out of inventory at critical moments. They make sales but can't fulfill orders fast enough because they're ordering tiny quantities. $10,000 allows you to order inventory in bulk, lower per unit costs, keep stock on hand, faster fulfillment, test multiple products, find winners faster, weather slow periods, don't panic sell. This transforms a struggling e-commerce side hustle into a sustainable business. The difference between ordering 50 units and 500 units is often the difference between barely profitable and very profitable. The help investment. Your time is your most valuable resource. If you're doing everything yourself, you're limiting growth. $10,000 can buy virtual assistants for administrative tasks, freelancers for specialized work, design, writing, coding, part-time help for operational tasks, automation, software that eliminates repetitive work. This frees up your time to focus on revenue-generating activities, sales, strategy, product development, client relationships. If hiring help costs $2,000 but frees up 20 hours per month that you use to generate $5,000 in additional revenue, that's a 150% return. Every month. 3:31 p.m. Chapter 3. Continued. The business investment window. The testing budget. One of the biggest advantages of having $10,000 is the ability to test business ideas without betting everything on one approach. You can allocate $1,000 to test business idea A, $1,000 to test business idea B, $1,000 to test business idea C, 3 tests, 3 potential winners. If 2 fail and 1 succeeds, you've found your path forward and still have $7,000 to scale the winner. This is how smart entrepreneurs operate. They don't go all in on untested ideas. They run cheap experiments, identify what works, then scale aggressively. Without capital, you can only test one idea at a time, slowly, which means you learn slower and take years to find something that works. With $10,000, you can test multiple ideas simultaneously and compress years of learning into months. The credibility investment. Sometimes the best business investment isn't in operations, it's in looking legitimate. Professional website, quality branding, business cards, professional email address, LinkedIn Premium, industry memberships, portfolio pieces. These things cost maybe $2,000 to $3,000 total, but they make you look established instead of amateur, and looking established helps you. Charge higher prices, win better clients, get taken seriously in negotiations, build trust faster. Two businesses offering the same service. One looks professional, one looks amateur. Which one gets the client? Which one can charge more? The credibility investment pays for itself immediately through better clients and higher prices. The partnership capital, sometimes the best. Business opportunity isn't starting something alone, it's partnering with someone who has skills you lack. Maybe you're great at marketing but terrible at operations. Your friend is great at operations but terrible at marketing. Together you could build something neither could build alone. But partnerships require capital. Someone needs to cover costs while the business gets going. Having $10,000 means you can be that person. You bring the capital, they bring the skills. You split equity appropriately. The business launches with both funding and talent instead of being hobbled by lack of either. This is how many successful businesses start. Complementary partners where one brings money and the other brings expertise. The buyout opportunity. Here's something most people never consider. Buying existing businesses. Someone built a business but wants out. Maybe they're retiring, changing careers, burnt out, or need quick cash. They'll sell for 1 to 3 times annual profit. Business earning $8,000 per year in profit might sell for $10,000 to $24,000. On the low end, your $10,000 could buy a business that immediately generates $8,000 annually in profit. That's an 80% annual return before you improve anything. And you probably can improve it. Most small businesses are run inefficiently. Improve it to $15,000 annual profit, and you've essentially gotten free money. This opportunity is completely invisible to people without capital. But with $10,000, you can browse business for sale marketplaces and potentially buy cash-flowing assets. The franchise territory. Some franchises have low entry costs. Mobile franchises, vending machines, certain service franchises, some can be started for $10,000 to $30,000. These come with proven systems, brand recognition, and support. The trade-off is ongoing royalties and less autonomy. But for people who want business ownership without the uncertainty of starting from scratch, low-cost franchises are an option that $10,000 enables. You're buying a tested business model instead of figuring everything out yourself. Sometimes that's worth the trade-off. The licensing play. If you've created something valuable, a product design, software, content, methodology, you might be able to license it instead of building a whole business around it. But licensing deals often require upfront investment, patent or trademark filings, $1,000 to $3,000, prototype development, $2,000 to $5,000, legal contracts, $1,000 to $2,000, marketing to potential licensees, $1,000 to $3,000. Having $10,000 means you can protect and pitch your idea professionally instead of hoping someone doesn't steal it or dismissing you as unserious. One good licensing deal could generate royalties for years from an initial $5,000 investment. The investment thesis. The key to all of this is thinking of your $10,000 as investment capital, not spending money. Investment capital should generate returns. Every dollar spent should have an expected ROI. You're not buying things, you're buying income-generating capacity. This mindset shift is crucial. Poor people see $10,000 as a lot of money to spend. Wealthy people see it as a small amount of capital to deploy strategically. The question isn't, can I afford this? It's what return will this generate? If spending $3,000 on equipment generates $12,000 in additional annual income, you can't afford not to spend it. The reinvestment cycle. Here's how the cycle works. Invest $5,000 in a business. Generate $8,000 in profit over 6 months. Take $3,000 as income. Reinvest $5,000 in growth. Now you're back to your original capital, plus you have $3,000 in your pocket. The reinvested $5,000 generates $12,000 in the next 6 months. Take $7,000 as income. Reinvest $5,000 again. Repeat, scaling each cycle. Within 2 to 3 years, you've built a business generating serious income while recovering your initial investment. The $10,000 didn't disappear. It multiplied. This is how small amounts of capital become large amounts of wealth, not by saving, but by investing strategically and reinvesting returns. Chapter 4, The Time Leverage, Buying Back Your Hours. Here's something nobody talks about. $10,000 doesn't just buy you business opportunities and security, it buys you something more valuable than money: time. And time is the ultimate leverage point for wealth building. The hourly rate calculation. First, figure out what your time is worth. Take your annual income, divide by 2,000, roughly 40 hours per week for 50 weeks. Making $50,000 per year, your time is worth $25 per hour. Making $100,000 per year, that's $50 per hour. Now here's the important question. How much of your time are you spending on tasks worth less than your hourly rate? Cleaning your house. You could hire someone for $20 per hour. Mowing your lawn, $30. Doing your own taxes, $100 to $200 total. Fixing your car, $75 per hour at a shop. If you're making $50 per hour and spending 5 hours per week on $20 per hour tasks, you're wasting $150 per week in opportunity cost. That's $7,800 per year of value destroyed by doing things you shouldn't be doing. The outsourcing mindset. Having $10,000 saved means you can start outsourcing low-value tasks and focus your time on high-value activities. Hire a cleaner, $100 to $200 per month. This frees up 4 to 8 hours per month. Hire a lawn service, $100 to $150 per month. This frees up 4 to 6 hours per month. Use a meal prep service, $200 to $300 per month. This frees up 5 to 10 hours per month. Total cost, maybe $500 per month. Time freed up, 15 to 25 hours per month. What can you do with 15 to 25 extra hours per month? Build a side business, learn high-value skills, work on career advancement, spend time with family, invest in your health, actually rest and recover. If you use just 10 of those hours to build a side business that generates $2,000 per month, you've paid for all the outsourcing and then some. The automation investment. Some time savings come from hiring people, others come from investing in automation and systems. $10,000 can buy software that automates repetitive tasks, tools that eliminate manual work, systems that handle operations without your involvement, technology that multiplies your productivity. Examples: email automation saves 5 hours per week on manual follow-ups. Scheduling software saves 2 hours per week on calendar coordination. Accounting software saves 3 hours per week on bookkeeping. Project management tools saves 4 hours per week on coordination. That's 14 hours per week saved, or roughly 60 hours per month. At even $25 per hour, that's $1,500 per month in value. The software might cost $200 to $500 per month. The math makes this a no-brainer, but you need capital to invest in the tools up front. The commute elimination. If you're currently commuting to an office, consider how much that's costing you in time. Average American commute, 54 minutes per day, or about 4.5 hours per week. That's 18 hours per month, or 216 hours per year spent in a car or on transit. Could you work remotely? Could you work closer to home? Could you move closer to work? All of these options require investment. Remote work might require a home office setup, $1,000 to $3,000. Moving closer to work might require moving costs, $2,000 to $5,000. Switching jobs might require career transition support, but if you can buy back 200 plus hours per year, the investment pays for itself in quality of life and opportunity to use that time productively. The help at home investment. If you have kids, you know that childcare is expensive, but it's also necessary if you want time to work on wealth-building activities. Having $10,000 means you can afford to. Pay for after-school programs that free up your afternoons. Hire occasional babysitters so you can focus on side business. Invest in summer camps that give you time to advance your career. Get help with household tasks so you're not exhausted. Parents without savings can't do this. They're doing everything themselves all the time, which means they have no time for anything except survival. With capital, you can buy back time to invest in opportunities that generate more income than the help costs. The education efficiency. Want to learn new skills? You have two options: slow and free, or fast and paid. Free option. Spend 500 hours over 2 years piecing together YouTube videos and free articles, learning through trial and error. Paid option. Spend $2,000 on a course or boot camp. Learn in 3 months with structured curriculum and expert guidance. The paid option costs money but saves enormous time. If those saved hours are used productively, the investment pays for itself quickly. This is how wealthy people learn. They pay for expertise in structured learning because their time is too valuable to waste on inefficient free methods. The health investment. Poor health steals time and energy. Medical issues, low energy, poor fitness, all of these reduce your productive hours. $10,000 can invest in health, gym membership and personal trainer, $2,000 per year, quality food instead of cheap junk, $200 per month extra preventive health care and regular checkups, $500 per year, mental health support, $2,000 per year, sleep optimization, good mattress, etc., $1,000 one time. This might seem like spending, but it's actually investing in your energy and longevity. Better health means more productive hours and better quality of life. You're not just buying health, you're buying time by reducing sick days, increasing energy, and extending your productive years. The decision fatigue elimination. Decision fatigue is real. Every decision you make drains mental energy. By the end of the day, your decision-making quality decreases. Having $10,000 lets you eliminate low-value decisions. Meal services eliminate "what should I eat" decisions. Wardrobe simplification eliminates "what should I wear" decisions. Automated bill pay eliminates "did I pay that" decisions. Cleaning services eliminate "when should I clean" decisions. Each eliminated decision preserves mental energy for important decisions that actually impact your wealth and life. This might sound trivial, but high performers obsess over this. They know that decision fatigue affects their work quality, and they protect their mental energy ruthlessly. The strategic laziness. There's a concept called strategic laziness, being lazy about things that don't matter so you can be focused on things that do. People without money can't be strategically lazy. They have to do everything themselves because they can't afford alternatives. People with capital can choose where to focus energy. They can be lazy about housework, yard work, car maintenance, tax prep, and other low-value tasks because they pay others to handle them. This frees up their energy for high-value activities, earning more, building businesses, developing skills, creating opportunities. It's not actually laziness. It's intelligent allocation of limited time and energy. The opportunity recognition. Here's something subtle. When you're constantly busy with low-value tasks, you miss opportunities. You don't notice the job posting because you're too busy. You don't pursue the business idea because you don't have time to research it. You don't network because you're exhausted from doing everything yourself. When you buy back time through outsourcing and automation, you create space to notice opportunities. You can actually pause and think, is there a better way to do this? Or could I pursue that idea? Opportunities don't wait for you to have time. They appear and disappear. Having time available means you can seize them instead of watching them pass by. The rest and recovery. Finally, and this is crucial, buying back time allows for actual rest. Burnout destroys productivity and decision-making quality. When you're exhausted, you make poor choices that cost you money. You can't perform well at work. You can't think strategically about your future. Having $10,000 means you can afford to take actual vacations instead of pretending to rest while stressed about money. Get enough sleep because you're not working 3 jobs. Have recovery time between intense work periods. Maintain sustainable pace instead of burning out. Rest isn't laziness, it's maintenance that prevents breakdowns. And preventing breakdowns saves enormous money and time in the long run. Chapter 5. The negotiation power. When you can afford to walk away. Let's talk about something that changes immediately once you have $10,000 saved. Your negotiating position in basically every transaction. Whether it's salary negotiations, purchases, deals, or contracts, having money in the bank fundamentally changes the power dynamic, and power dynamics determine outcomes. The salary negotiation transformation. Picture 2 people interviewing for the same job. Person A has $800 in their bank account and rent is due in 2 weeks. They desperately need this job. When the employer offers $55,000, they accept immediately because they can't afford to risk the offer by negotiating. Person B has $10,000 saved and could survive 4 to 5 months without income. When the employer offers $55,000, they counter with $65,000 because they can afford to walk away if needed. Guess who gets paid more? Person B, almost every time. Not because they're more qualified, but because they have the financial security to negotiate from a position of strength instead of desperation. That $10,000 difference in salary compounds over a career. If person B gets $62,000, splitting the difference, instead of $55,000, and both get 3% annual raises. After 10 years, person B has earned $80,000 more. After 20 years, person B has earned $180,000 more. After 30 years, person B has earned $310,000 more. The $10,000 in savings enabled a negotiation that generated hundreds of thousands in additional lifetime earnings. That's leverage. The walkaway power. The most powerful word in any negotiation is no, but you can only say no if you can afford the consequences. Bad job offer? You can decline. Lowball freelance rate? You can refuse. Unfavorable contract terms? You can walk away. Terrible deal on a car? You can leave. When you're broke, you can't walk away. You need the income too badly. The other party knows this and uses it against you. When you have savings, walking away is a genuine option. And when the other party knows you're willing to walk away, they negotiate more seriously. They know you have options. This completely changes negotiating dynamics. You're not begging for scraps. You're evaluating whether opportunities meet your standards. The bulk purchase leverage. Having cash available means you can negotiate volume discounts and take advantage of bulk pricing. Need equipment for a business? Buying 1 unit, $500 each. Buying 10 units with cash, $350 each. That's 30% savings just for having the capital to buy in bulk. This applies to business inventory, lower per unit costs at volume, supplies and materials, bulk discounts, software and tools, annual pricing versus monthly, services and contracts, committing to longer terms. The savings from bulk purchasing often pay for the capital investment quickly, then continue providing cost advantages ongoing. The cash discount advantage. Many sellers offer discounts for cash payment because it eliminates transaction fees and payment risk. Buying a car? Cash might get you $500 to $1,500 off because the dealer doesn't pay credit card processing fees and knows the payment won't bounce. Hiring contractors? Cash might get you 10% off because they don't pay credit card fees and can potentially avoid some taxes. Not saying they should, but many do. Buying furniture or electronics? Cash might get you additional discounts that financed buyers don't access. These discounts exist, but only for people who have cash available. People financing everything pay full price plus interest. The time value negotiation. When you're not desperate, you can afford to wait for the right deal instead of accepting the first available option. Looking for a car? You can wait for the exact model you want at the right price instead of buying whatever's on the lot. House hunting? You can wait for the right property instead of settling because you're in a rush. Job searching? You can hold out for the right opportunity instead of taking the first offer. Time is leverage in negotiations. The side that's more patient usually wins. Having savings gives you the patience that desperation prevents. The competitive bidding setup. When you have options, you can create competitive bidding situations where multiple parties compete for your business. Multiple job offers? You can leverage them against each other. Company A offered me X. Can you do better? Multiple vendors? You can negotiate better terms. Vendor A quoted me Y. If you beat it, you get the contract. Multiple investment opportunities? You can be selective. I'm considering several options. What makes yours the best choice? This only works if you genuinely have options and can walk away from any single opportunity. Money in the bank gives you that power. The financing avoidance financing costs money. Interest, fees, and processing charges add up quickly. Having $10,000 means you can avoid financing for mid-sized purchases. Need a $5,000 car? Pay cash. Avoid the 8% interest that would cost you an extra $1,000 plus over the loan term. Need $3,000 in equipment? Pay cash. Avoid the 15% interest on a business credit card. Need $2,000 for home repairs? Pay cash. Avoid the personal loan fees. These savings accumulate. Avoiding interest on multiple purchases over years could save tens of thousands in finance charges. The deposit leverage. Many good deals require Deposits or earnest money, rental properties, wholesale purchases, business opportunities, contracts, they often require showing you're serious by putting money down. Having $10,000 means you can actually compete for these opportunities. Want to secure a great rental property? You can put down the first month, last month, and security deposit immediately while others are scrambling to come up with the money. Found a wholesale opportunity? You can put down a deposit to secure inventory at great prices. Business partnership opportunity? You can show you're serious by contributing initial capital. These opportunities go to people who can move quickly with cash. By the time broke people figure out financing, the opportunity is gone. The emergency negotiation life emergencies create terrible negotiating positions. Your car breaks down, you need immediate repairs, and you'll accept whatever the mechanic charges because you need to get to work. Your roof leaks, you need immediate repairs, and you'll accept inflated quotes because you can't let water damage your house. Having $10,000 means even emergencies aren't desperate situations. You can get multiple quotes, you can negotiate, you can make rational decisions instead of panic decisions. This saves money on every emergency that occurs. The difference between a panic repair quote and a negotiated quote might be 30 to 50%. The partnership equity. When starting or joining businesses, the person who brings capital often gets better equity terms than the person who only brings labor. Two people start a business. Person A contributes $10,000 in startup capital. Person B contributes sweat equity. They might split equity 60-40 or 70-30 in person A's favor because capital is scarce and valuable. Over time, if that business becomes worth $500,000, person A's extra 10 to 20% equity is worth $50,000 to $100,000, all because they had capital to invest at the beginning. Money is leverage in partnerships. The person with cash gets better terms. 3:34 p.m. Chapter 6. The investment opportunities, where small capital becomes big returns. Now let's talk about something that completely changes once you have $10,000, your ability to actually invest, not save, invest. There's a massive difference, and that difference is what separates people who build wealth from people who just accumulate money slowly. The stock market entry. Here's what most people don't realize. You can start investing with $100. Fractional shares, index funds, ETFs, the barriers to entry are low. So why does having $10,000 matter? Because investing $100 is cute. Investing $10,000 is meaningful. Put $100 in the stock market at 10% annual returns, it becomes $259 in 10 years. Nice, but not life-changing. Put $10,000 in the stock market at 10% annual returns, it becomes $25,937 in 10 years. That's actual wealth building. The same percentage returns, but the absolute dollar growth is what matters. This is why wealthy people get wealthier. They have enough capital that even moderate returns generate serious money. Having $10,000 to invest means you're playing a game where the math actually works in your favor. The diversification capability. When you only have $500 to invest, you can't really diversify. You put it in one or two things and hope they work out. With $10,000, you can actually build a diversified portfolio, $3,000 in S&P 500 index fund, broad market exposure, $2,000 in international stocks, geographic diversification, $2,000 in bonds, stability and income, $1,500 in sector-specific ETFs, targeted growth, $1,000 in individual stocks, higher risk/reward, $500 in alternative investments, crypto, commodities, etc. This diversification reduces risk while maintaining growth potential. You're not betting everything on one outcome. You're spreading risk across multiple assets that don't all move together. Diversification is how you protect wealth while growing it, but it requires having enough capital to spread around. The real estate investment entry. Most people think real estate investing requires $50,000 to $100,000 for down payments, but there are ways to start with $10,000. House hacking. Buy a multi-unit property with an FHA loan, 3.5% down. Live in one unit, rent out the others. On a $200,000 property, that's $7,000 down plus closing costs. Your tenants cover most or all of your mortgage. REITs, real estate investment trusts, Invest in real estate without buying property. $10,000 in dividend-paying REITs might generate $400 to $600 annually in passive income plus appreciation. Real estate crowdfunding. Platforms like Fundrise or Realty Mogul allow you to invest in real estate projects with $500 to $5,000 minimums. Your $10,000 could be split across multiple properties. Wholesaling capital. Real estate. Wholesaling requires money for earnest deposits and marketing. $10,000 gives you the capital to secure contracts and find buyers. These opportunities are completely inaccessible to people with $1,000 saved, but $10,000 opens the door to real estate investing, which has historically been one of the most reliable wealth-building vehicles. The angel investing entry. Think angel investing is only for millionaires? Not anymore. Equity crowdfunding platforms like Republic, StartEngine, and WeFunder let you invest in startups with as little as $100 to $500, but realistically you want to invest $1,000 to $2,000 per startup to make returns meaningful, and you want to invest in multiple startups because most will fail. With $10,000, you could invest in 5 to 10 early-stage companies. If 9 fail and 1 becomes a unicorn, that one success could return 100 times or more on your investment. This is high-risk, high-reward investing. Most people lose money, but the optionality is valuable. You're getting exposure to potential outsized returns that aren't available in public markets, and you're learning how startup investing works, which is knowledge that compounds as you build more wealth. The options trading capital. Options trading is risky and not for everyone, but for people who understand it, options can generate income or hedge portfolios effectively. Selling covered calls on stocks you own can generate 1 to 3% monthly income. On $10,000 worth of stock, that's $100 to $300 per month in additional income just for selling options against your positions. Cash-secured puts let you get paid to potentially buy stocks at lower prices. This works well if you're planning to buy stocks anyway. These strategies require having the underlying capital to secure the options. You can't sell covered calls without owning the stock. You can't sell cash-secured puts without having cash to buy the stock if assigned. $10,000 gives you enough capital to start using these strategies, which can significantly boost returns on your portfolio. The alternative investment access. Many alternative investments have minimum investment requirements that $10,000 satisfies. Peer-to-peer lending, platforms like Prosper or Lending Club let you lend money to individuals and earn interest. With $10,000, you can build a diversified portfolio of loans generating 5 to 8% returns. Commodities and precious metals. $10,000 can buy meaningful positions in gold, silver, or other commodities that hedge against inflation and market volatility. Art and collectibles. Platforms like Masterworks let you invest in fractional shares of expensive artwork. $10,000 can build a small portfolio of art investments. Private debt. Some platforms offer access to private debt investments with returns of 8 to 12%. These typically require $5,000 to $10,000 minimums. These alternatives provide diversification beyond stocks and bonds, reducing correlation in your portfolio and potentially improving risk-adjusted returns. The tax-advantaged account loading. Once you have $10,000, you can max out tax-advantaged accounts all at once instead of slowly over the year. Max out your Roth IRA $6,500 annual limit on January 1st instead of spreading it over 12 months. This gives you 12 additional months of compound growth compared to contributing monthly. That small timing difference compounds significantly over decades. Contributing early each year versus late could mean tens of thousands of dollars more in retirement. Having the capital to front-load tax-advantaged accounts is a subtle but powerful advantage, the index fund strategy. Here's the boring, reliable, proven strategy. Put most of your $10,000 into low-cost index funds and don't touch it for 30 years. Historically, the S&P 500 returns about 10% annually. Your $10,000 becomes 10 years, $25,937 20 years, $67,275 30 years, $174,494. You didn't do anything fancy. You didn't time the market. You didn't pick individual stocks. You just bought the entire market through an index fund and waited. This is how most wealth is actually built, not through clever trading, but through consistent investing in diversified funds over long periods. But it requires having capital to invest. $10,000 is enough to make this strategy meaningful. The dividend income stream, dividend-focused investing, creates passive income. Build a portfolio of dividend-paying stocks and ETFs with your $10,000. At an average 3 to 4% dividend yield, $10,000 generates $300 to $400 annually in passive income. Not life-changing, but it's real money for doing nothing. Reinvest those dividends and the portfolio grows faster. Don't reinvest, and you've got quarterly income hitting your account automatically. As the portfolio grows through contributions and appreciation, the dividend income scales. Eventually, you might have $100,000 generating $3,000 to $4,000 annually, then $500,000 generating $15,000 to $20,000 annually. It starts with having enough capital to make dividends meaningful. $10,000 is that threshold. The retirement acceleration. Let's talk about the real power of investing $10,000 in your 20s or 30s versus waiting. Invest $10,000 at age 25, never add another dollar, let it grow at 10% annually until age 65. It becomes $452,593. Wait until age 35 to invest that same $10,000. At age 65, it's only $174,494. You lost $278,099 by waiting 10 years. Wait until age 45. It's only $67,275 at age 65. You lost $385,318 by waiting 20 years. The earlier $10,000 investment is worth 6.7 times more than the one started 20 years later. Same money, same returns, completely different outcomes based purely on timing. This is why getting to $10,000 in savings and investing it young is arguably more important than anything else you do financially. The emergency fund plus investment split. Here's the sophisticated strategy. Don't invest all $10,000. Split it. Keep $5,000 to $6,000 as emergency fund. 3 months of expenses for most people. Invest the other $4,000 to $5,000. This gives you security and growth. You're protected from emergencies while also building wealth through investments. As your investments grow and you save more, you maintain the emergency fund at appropriate levels and invest everything above that. This balanced approach prevents you from having all your money locked in investments you can't access in emergencies while still putting your money to work. The crypto allocation, love it or hate it, cryptocurrency exists and some people have made enormous returns. Others have lost everything. The reasonable approach, if you're interested in crypto, allocate 5 to 10% of your portfolio to it. $10,000 total investment capital, put $500 to $1,000 in crypto. If it goes to zero, you lost 5 to 10% of your portfolio. Painful, but not devastating. If at 10 times, you've doubled your entire portfolio. This asymmetric risk/reward profile is why some investors include small crypto allocations. You're limiting downside while maintaining upside exposure. Never invest more in crypto than you can afford to lose completely. But $10,000 in total capital gives you room to take a small, calculated risk. The investment education part of your $10,000 should go toward learning how to invest better. Books, courses, seminars, subscriptions to quality research. These pay for themselves if they improve your investing returns even slightly. Spend $500 to $1,000 on investment education. If that education helps you avoid one bad investment or identify one good opportunity, it could save or make you tens of thousands over your lifetime. Most people try to invest without education, make costly mistakes, get discouraged, and give up. A small investment in learning prevents expensive lessons from the market. Chapter 7. The Psychological Freedom. What money can't buy but $10,000 enables. Let's talk about something harder to quantify but arguably more valuable than any business opportunity or investment return. The psychological freedom that comes with having $10,000 saved. This isn't about being rich. It's about being free from the mental prison of financial desperation. The decision clarity. When you're broke, every decision is clouded by financial stress. Should you take that job? Should you stay in that relationship? Should you move to a new city? Should you invest in that opportunity? The answer is always filtered through, but I can't afford to take that risk. Financial stress acts like a fog over your decision making. You can't see clearly. You make choices based on immediate financial pressure rather than long-term optimization. Having $10,000 saved clears that fog. Not completely, you're not rich, but enough to think clearly about what you actually want versus what you feel forced to accept. This clarity is priceless. One major life decision made from a position of clarity instead of desperation can change your entire trajectory. The relationship dynamics. Financial stress destroys relationships. It's one of the top causes of divorce and relationship conflict. When you're constantly worried about money, everything becomes a fight about money. Do we need that? Why did you spend that? We can't afford this. You're not being careful enough. You're being too cheap. These fights aren't really about money. They're about stress, fear, and feeling out of control. But money is what triggers them. Having $10,000 saved doesn't eliminate money discussions, but it eliminates the desperation behind them. You're discussing strategy instead of survival. You're making joint decisions instead of fighting over scraps. The reduction in financial tension improves relationships in ways that compound over time. The health impact. Financial stress literally makes you sick. Higher rates of depression, anxiety, high blood pressure, heart disease, sleep problems, and stress-related illnesses. Your body is constantly in fight or flight mode when you're worried about money. This chronic stress wears you down, suppresses your immune system, and accelerates aging. Having savings doesn't eliminate stress, but it significantly reduces the chronic financial stress that's destroying your health. Better sleep, lower anxiety, reduced stress hormones, better immune function. These health improvements have enormous quality of life and longevity impacts. You can't put a price on feeling healthier and living longer, but $10,000 in savings contributes to both. The creative capacity, creativity, requires mental space. When your brain is consumed with financial survival, there's no room for creative thinking. You can't brainstorm business ideas when you're worried about rent. You can't think strategically about your career when you're stressed about bills. You can't innovate when you're in constant crisis mode. Having $10,000 saved creates the mental space for creativity. Your brain isn't consumed with immediate threats, so it can actually think about possibilities, innovations, and opportunities. This is why broke people rarely have breakthrough ideas. Not because they're less intelligent, but because their cognitive resources are consumed by survival. They don't have spare mental capacity for creativity. The risk tolerance isn't just about personality, it's about circumstances. When you're broke, you can't afford risk. You need guaranteed outcomes. This risk aversion keeps you in jobs you hate, relationships that don't serve you, cities you want to leave, and situations you've outgrown. You can't afford the uncertainty of change. Having savings doesn't make you reckless, but it increases your tolerance for calculated risk. You can afford to try things that might not work out. You can pursue opportunities with uncertain outcomes. This increased risk tolerance is what separates people who stay stuck from people who advance, not because they're braver, but because they can afford to take chances. The identity confidence. There's a difference between broke person who's stressed about money and person who has their financial life together. That's not about ego or status, it's about how you see yourself, and how you see yourself affects how you show up in the world. When you see yourself as financially responsible, you make different choices, you invest more, you plan better, you think long term, you avoid stupid decisions. Having $10,000 saved is proof to yourself that you can manage money, plan for the future, and execute on goals. That proof builds confidence that affects everything else. The generosity capacity. When you're broke, you can't afford to be generous. Every dollar is accounted for. There's nothing extra for helping others. This creates guilt and helplessness when people you care about need help. Your friend needs to borrow money. Your family member has an emergency. A cause you care about needs donations. And you can't help because you're barely surviving yourself. Having savings creates capacity for generosity. Not unlimited generosity, but the ability to help when it matters. $200 to help a friend in crisis. $500 to support a cause you believe in. $1,000 to help family with an emergency. These acts of generosity create meaning and connection that money sitting in an account doesn't provide, but you can only be generous when you have surplus. The FOMO elimination, FOMO, fear of missing out, is largely a function of not being able to afford opportunities. Your friends are traveling, you can't go. Cool concert, can't afford tickets. Networking event, can't pay the entry fee. Investment opportunity, no capital available. You're constantly watching opportunities pass by because you can't afford to participate. This creates resentment, regret, and a sense of being left behind. Having $10,000 doesn't mean you can afford everything, but it means you can afford some things. You can be selective instead of excluded. You can choose what to miss instead of missing everything. The future. Orientation. Broke people live in the present out of necessity. They can't think about next year when they're worried about next week. Having savings allows you to think about the future, not just survival, but actual future planning. Where do you want to be in 5 years? What skills do you need? What opportunities should you position yourself for? This future orientation is essential for wealth building. You can't build a future you can't imagine. And you can't imagine a future when you're stuck in the present. $10,000 in savings gives you permission to think beyond immediate survival and actually plan a life you want. The mistake recovery. Everyone makes mistakes. Bad purchases, failed investments, career missteps, relationship choices. Life is full of errors. When you're broke, mistakes are catastrophic. One bad decision can set you back years. This makes you terrified of making mistakes, which ironically makes you make more mistakes because fear clouds judgment. Having savings means mistakes are educational instead of devastating. You can recover, you can learn, you can try again. This changes your relationship with failure. Instead of avoiding it at all costs, you can take intelligent risks knowing that failure won't destroy you. The authenticity freedom. When you're desperate for money, you can't afford to be yourself. You have to be whoever will get hired, whoever will make the sale, whoever will get the approval. You suppress your opinions, your values, your personality, because you can't risk losing income. You're performing a version of yourself that's economically viable instead of authentic. Having financial breathing room means you can afford to be yourself. You can speak honestly. You can hold boundaries. You can express values even when it's not popular. This authenticity isn't just emotionally satisfying, it's economically valuable. Authentic people build better relationships, attract better opportunities, and create sustainable success, but authenticity requires security. You need to know that being yourself won't destroy you financially. Chapter 8. The Career Leverage. How $10,000 changes your professional trajectory. Let's talk about something most people don't connect. How much your savings account affects your career success. Because $10,000 in the bank doesn't just change your personal finances, it fundamentally alters your professional options and trajectory in ways that compound over decades. The job hopping advantage. Here's a counterintuitive truth. The fastest way to increase your salary is to change jobs, not to stay loyal to one employer. Statistics show that job hoppers earn 50% more over their careers than people who stay at one company. Why? Because external hires get market rate salaries while internal promotions get 3% raises. But job hopping requires financial security. There's usually a gap between jobs, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 2 months. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you can't afford that gap. With $10,000 saved, you can afford to quit without another job lined up if you find a great opportunity. Take time between jobs to interview multiple places and choose the best offer. Negotiate hard, knowing you can walk away. Decline offers that aren't right instead of taking them out of desperation. This flexibility allows you to be strategic about career moves instead of reactive. You're optimizing for long-term income and satisfaction rather than immediate need. Over a career, this could mean the difference between topping out at $80,000 and progressing to $150,000 plus through strategic job changes. The career transition capital. Want to change careers entirely? Maybe you're in accounting but want to be in tech, or you're in retail but want to be in marketing, or you're in whatever but want to be in something else. Career transitions are difficult when you're broke because they often require taking a pay cut while you build, experience in the new field, investing in training or certification, spending time networking and learning before you can land a job, having gap periods while you transition. All of this requires financial runway that broke people don't have, so they stay stuck in careers they hate because they can't afford to transition. With $10,000 saved, career transitions become possible. Take a $10,000 pay cut to enter a new field. Your savings cover the difference for a year while you build skills. Spend $3,000 on a boot camp or certification. You can afford it without debt. Take 3 months to learn and network before job hunting. Your savings give you that time. This mobility is how people end up in careers they're passionate about and skilled at, rather than stuck in whatever they fell into initially. The negotiation confidence. We talked about negotiation generally, but let's get specific about salary negotiation. When you have $10,000 saved and you're negotiating a job offer you can afford to counter, I was hoping for $75,000 instead of $65,000. If they say no, you can walk away. This confidence often results in them meeting you in the middle. You can negotiate benefits beyond salary. Can we discuss more vacation days, remote work flexibility, or a signing bonus? You're not just grateful to have an offer, you're negotiating the complete package. You can delay accepting to consider other offers. I appreciate the offer. Can I have a week to consider? This creates FOMO for the employer and potentially gets you better terms. You can relocate for better opportunities. If the best job for you is in another city, you can afford moving costs and the transition period. Each of these negotiation points could be worth thousands or tens of thousands over the life of the job. And it's only possible because you have the financial security to negotiate from strength. The side project incubation. The best career moves often come from side projects that turn into full-time opportunities. A side consulting gig becomes a full consulting business. A weekend coding project becomes a startup. A freelance writing hobby becomes a content business. But building side projects requires time and sometimes money. You need to be able to invest evenings and weekends without immediately monetizing. You might need to buy tools, pay for hosting, invest in marketing. Broke people can't do this effectively. They need every spare hour to work extra jobs for immediate income. They can't invest in projects that might pay off later. With $10,000 saved, you can afford to spend 6 to 12 months building a side project without immediate income. Invest $1,000 to $2,000 in tools and infrastructure. Focus on quality instead of rushing to monetize. Wait for the right opportunity to transition full-time. Many of the most successful career trajectories started as side projects that had runway to develop properly. The professional development. Investment. Want to increase your earning power? Invest in professional development. Industry certifications, $1,000 to $5,000. Executive coaching, $200 to $500 per month. Professional conferences, $1,000 to $3,000 per conference. Advanced training programs, $2,000 to $10,000. Graduate certificates, $5,000 to $15,000. These investments increase your skills, credibility, and network. They often pay for themselves quickly through salary increases or better job opportunities, but most people can't afford them. They're stuck at their current skill level because they can't invest in advancement. Having $10,000 means you can strategically invest in development that increases your earning power. A $3,000 certification that increases your salary by $10,000 annually pays for itself in 4 months, then continues paying forever. The interview process advantage. Interviewing well requires resources that broke people don't have. Professional attire. A good suit or professional wardrobe costs $500 to $1,500. Looking professional matters in interviews. Travel for interviews. Sometimes the best opportunities aren't local. Being able to travel for interviews expands your options dramatically. Preparation time. Being able to take days off to prepare an interview without panicking about lost wages improves your performance. Multiple interview rounds. Some hiring processes take weeks or months with multiple rounds. Being able to participate fully without financial stress helps you succeed. With $10,000 saved, you can invest in presenting yourself professionally and fully participating in interview processes without financial stress sabotaging your performance. The geographic flexibility career opportunities aren't evenly distributed. Some cities have 10 times the opportunities in your field compared to others. Tech jobs, San Francisco, Seattle, Austin, New York, pay dramatically more than most cities. Finance jobs, New York, Chicago, Charlotte have the opportunities. Entertainment, Los Angeles, New York, Nashville, depending on the industry. But moving to high opportunity cities requires capital. Moving costs, $2,000 to $5,000. Security deposits and first month's rent, $3,000 to $6,000 buffer while you establish yourself, $5,000 to $10,000. People without savings can't relocate to opportunity-rich cities. They're stuck wherever they already are, even if it's limiting their career. With $10,000, you can afford to relocate strategically. This single move could increase your lifetime earnings by hundreds of thousands or millions depending on your field. The entrepreneurial escape route. Hate your job? Want to work for yourself? Many people have the skills and ideas to succeed as entrepreneurs but are trapped in employment because they can't afford the transition. $10,000 gives you an escape route, 3 to 6 months of living expenses while you build a business, initial capital to start the business properly, runway to find clients without desperation, ability to decline bad clients while you build good ones. This transforms entrepreneurship from a fantasy into a viable option, not a guarantee of success, but a genuine possibility. Many successful entrepreneurs started with similar amounts, enough runway to try without betting everything on an unvalidated idea. The sabbatical option. Burnout is real, and it destroys careers. People stay in jobs until they're so burned out they can barely function. Then they either break down or quit impulsively without a plan. Having $10,000 saved gives you a different option, a strategic sabbatical. Take 2 to 3 months off to rest and recover from burnout, reassess your career direction, learn new skills, travel, and gain perspective. Return to work refreshed instead of broken. This prevents the complete career derailments that happen when people burn out without options. You're choosing recovery instead of having it forced on you through breakdown. The consultant transition. One of the fastest ways to increase income is transitioning from employee to consultant in the same field. As an employee making $75,000 annually, your employer is probably billing you out at $150 to $200 per hour if you're in a billable role. They're capturing the difference. As a consultant, you might charge $100 to $150 per hour and keep it all. Even working fewer hours, you could match or exceed your employee income. But the transition requires capital, business setup costs, $1,000 to $2,000, marketing and website, $1,000 to $3,000 buffer for slow months, $5,000 to $8,000. Professional insurance and tools, $1,000 to $2,000. With $10,000, you can make this transition. Without it, you're stuck in the employee role, even if consulting would be more lucrative. The network investment. Your network determines your net worth more than almost any other factor, but building a quality network requires investment, conferences and events. The real value isn't the talks, it's the people you meet. But attendance costs $500 to $3,000 per event. Association memberships. Industry associations provide networking and credibility. They cost $200 to $1,000 annually. Social activities. Taking potential mentors or collaborators to lunch or coffee seems small, but it adds up. Professional groups, masterminds, peer groups, professional organizations often have membership fees. With $10,000, you can invest $1,000 to $2,000 annually in networking activities that could lead to opportunities worth tens or hundreds of thousands. The skill stacking strategy. The most valuable professionals aren't the best at one thing. They're good at multiple complementary skills. A good writer is valuable. A good writer who understands marketing is very valuable. A good writer who understands marketing and data analysis is extremely valuable. Building these skill stacks requires time and money. Online courses, $200 to $500 per skill. Books and resources, $100 to $300 per topic. Practice projects, $500 to $1,000 in tools and materials. Time to learn without immediate monetization. Months of runway. With $10,000, you can invest in building valuable skill combinations that make you uniquely qualified for high-paying opportunities. Chapter 9. The Compound Effect. How $10,000 becomes $100,000 and beyond. Let's talk about the long game. Because $10,000 isn't the goal, it's the foundation. Once you have it, the question becomes, how does this become $100,000, then $500,000, then real wealth? The answer is compound effects across multiple dimensions. The mathematical compounding start with the simple math. Invest $10,000 at 10% annual returns, historically achievable through index funds. Year 1, $11,000. Year 5, $16,105. Year 10, $25,937. Year 15, $41,772. Year 20, $67,275. Year 25, $108,347. Year 30, $174,494. You put in $10,000 once and never added another dollar. After 30 years, you have $174,494. That's the power of compound interest, but it gets better because you're not just sitting on $10,000. You're continuing to save and invest. If you invest that initial $10,000 and contribute another $500 per month, year 10, $128,966, year 20, $470,551, year 30, $1,206,604. Same return rate, but now you've got over $1 million. The combination of the initial capital plus ongoing contributions creates wealth that seems impossible when you're starting from zero. The income compounding, but we're not just talking about investment returns. We're talking about how that $10,000 enables income growth that also compounds. Use $3,000 to start a side business that generates an extra $1,000 per month. That's $12,000 per year in additional income. Year 1, you made an extra $12,000, 400% return on investment. Year 2, you reinvest some profits and grow it to $2,000 per month equals $24,000 per year. Year 3, it's now generating $3,000 per month equals $36,000 per year. After 3 years, this side business is generating $36,000 annually in additional income. You invested $3,000 and created an income stream worth $36,000 per year. That's a 1,200% return. And you still have $7,000 of your original $10,000 invested elsewhere. This is how $10,000 becomes life-changing. Not by sitting in an account, but by deploying strategically across income-generating opportunities. The skill compounding. Every skill you learn makes the next skill easier to learn. Every business you start teaches you lessons that make the next one more likely to succeed. Year 1. Use $2,000 to learn digital marketing. You're now employable in marketing roles paying $20,000 more than your current job. Year 2. Use your marketing skills to start a consulting side business generating $2,000 per month. Year 3. Use your marketing knowledge and consulting experience to start a digital products business that generates passive income. Year 4. Use all these skills to launch a SaaS product that eventually sells for $500,000. Each step builds on the previous one. The initial $2,000 investment in learning didn't just buy one skill. It started a cascade of opportunities that led to a life-changing exit. The network compounding invest $1,000 in attending a conference. You meet someone who becomes a mentor. That mentor introduces you to someone who becomes a business partner. That partnership creates a company that gets acquired. The original $1,000 investment didn't directly create the outcome. It started a network chain reaction that eventually led to wealth. This is how networks compound. Each connection can lead to multiple other connections. Each relationship can open doors you didn't know existed. People without capital can't invest in networking. They can't afford conferences, memberships, or social opportunities. This keeps them isolated and limits their opportunities. The credibility compounding, having $10,000 to invest in yourself, professional website, quality business cards, appropriate attire, proper tools, creates credibility. Credibility leads to better clients. Better clients pay more and provide references. References lead to even better clients. Each step up in client quality makes the next step easier. 5 years later, you're charging 10 times what you started at, working with clients you couldn't have accessed initially. The credibility compounding opened doors that gradually led to completely different opportunities. The time compounding used $5,000 to outsource low-value tasks. This frees up 15 hours per week. Use those hours to build a business. Year 1, extra 15 hours per week equals 780 hours per year. Use it to build a business generating $20,000 profit. Year 2, reinvest profits to outsource more tasks. Freeing up 25 hours per week equals 1,300 hours per year. Business now generates $50,000 profit. Year 3, eventually transition full-time to the business. It's now generating $150,000 annually. The initial time bought with $5,000 compounded into business growth that eventually replaced your entire income. The leverage compounding start with $10,000. Use it to start a business generating 50% annual return, $5,000 profit first year. Year 2, Reinvest that $5,000 plus add another $5,000 saved. Now you have $15,000 invested, generating $7,500 profit. Year 3. Reinvest again plus add $5,000 more. $22,500 invested, generating $11,250 profit. By year 10, you've built this into a business worth $500,000 because you consistently reinvested profits and added capital. This is leverage compounding, using returns to generate bigger returns, which generate even bigger returns. The opportunity compounding. Having capital means you can seize opportunities when they appear, and seizing opportunities leads to more opportunities. Example, a rental property becomes available below market value. You have $10,000 for a down payment and buy it. It generates $300 per month in cash flow. 2 years later, another opportunity appears. You've saved the cash flow, $7,200, plus another $3,000. Now you buy a second property. 5 years later, you own 4 properties generating $1,500 per month total. You sell one, use the equity to buy 2 more. Now you have 5 properties generating $2,500 per month. 10 years later, you have a portfolio of 10 properties generating $6,000 per month in passive income. It started with $10,000 in one opportunity. Each opportunity led to the next through a combination of cash flow, equity growth, and learned experience. The failure compounding, the good kind. With $10,000, you can afford to fail 3 or 4 times before succeeding. Each failure teaches you lessons that make success more likely. Attempt 1. Start a business, invest $2,000, it fails. Lesson learned, that business model doesn't work. Attempt 2. Try a different approach, invest $2,000, it fails. Lesson learned, different failure mode, different insights. Attempt 3. Apply lessons from both failures, invest $3,000, it works. Generate $30,000 profit in the first year. Without capital, you might only get 1 attempt. Fail once and you're done because you can't afford to try again. This dramatically reduces your odds of eventual success. With capital, you can fail your way to success through rapid iteration and learning. The career compounding use $10,000 strategically for career growth. Year 1. Spend $3,000 on certification, get 15% raise, $9,000 per year for $60,000 salary. Year 2. Use improved credentials to switch jobs, get $15,000 raise. Year 3. Spend $2,000 on executive coaching, improve leadership skills, get promoted, another $20,000 raise. By year 3, you're making $44,000 more annually than when you started. Your initial $5,000 investment in development generated $44,000 in additional annual income. Over a 30-year career, that compounds to over $1 million in additional lifetime earnings when you factor in percentage raises on the higher base salary. The passive income stacking. Don't build one income stream. Build multiple streams that compound together. Stream 1, dividend stocks, generating $400 per year from $10,000 invested. Stream 2, rental property generating $3,600 per year from using $10,000 as down payment. Stream 3, digital product generating $2,400 per year from $1,000 investment to create. Stream 4, side consulting generating $12,000 per year from $2,000 marketing investment. Total passive/semi-passive income, $18,400 per year from strategic deployment of $23,000 total capital. Reinvest these earnings. In 5 years, each stream has grown and you've added new streams. You're now generating $50,000 plus annually in income beyond your job. Chapter 10. The strategic deployment. Exactly how to use your $10,000. Okay, so you've saved $10,000 or you're close to it. Now comes the crucial question. What exactly should you do with it? Because having money is one thing. Deploying it strategically is what actually changes your life. Let's break down the specific allocation strategies based on different situations. The foundation strategy for people with debt. If you have high interest debt, credit cards, personal loans over 8% interest, your strategy is different. Allocation, $1,000 to $2,000. Emergency fund, starter amount, $8,000 to $9,000. Pay off highest interest debt. Why this order? Because an emergency fund prevents you from going back into debt when unexpected expenses hit. Without it, you pay off debt, then immediately accumulate more when your car breaks down. Once high-interest debt is gone, rebuild your emergency fund to full $6,000 to $10,000, then start investing in building businesses. This isn't sexy, but it's mathematically correct. Paying off 20% interest credit card debt is effectively a guaranteed 20% return. You won't find that in the stock market, the security-first strategy for risk-averse people. If your top priority is stability and reducing stress, allocation, $8,000 to $10,000, full emergency fund, 6 months expenses, $0 to $2,000. Begin investing in index funds. This gives you maximum security, 6 months of expenses in. The bank means you can survive most financial emergencies without panic. Once this is established, every dollar you save beyond this goes into investments or business opportunities, but you always maintain the full emergency fund. This strategy takes longest to build wealth, but it provides the most psychological security. For some people, that security is worth more than faster wealth building. The balanced strategy. For most people, if you want security and growth, allocation, $5,000, emergency fund, 3 to 4 months expenses, $3,000, investment portfolio, index funds, stocks, or retirement accounts, $2,000, business opportunity, skill development, or income-generating investment. This balances protection with growth. You have security from the emergency fund, long-term wealth building from investments, and potential accelerated returns from the business/skill investment. As you continue saving, you add to all three categories proportionally until the emergency fund is fully funded, then focus more heavily on investments and business. The aggressive strategy for high-risk tolerance. If you're young, have stable income, and want maximum growth, allocation, $2,000 to $3,000, emergency fund, minimum buffer, $3,000 to $4,000, business or skill investment with high RO. I potential $3,000 to $4,000. Aggressive investments, individual stocks, crypto, alternative investments. This strategy maximizes growth potential but requires higher risk tolerance. You're betting on your ability to generate returns that exceed what conservative strategies provide. Only use this approach if you have stable income that covers expenses. You're young enough to recover from losses. You have skills or business ideas with real potential. You won't panic sell investments during downturns. The entrepreneurial strategy for business-minded people. If your goal is building a business, allocation, $3,000, emergency fund, minimal but necessary, $6,000 to $7,000. Business startup capital, $0 to $1,000, personal development and networking. You're prioritizing business growth over everything else. The minimal emergency fund keeps you from total catastrophe, but most capital goes into the business. This is highest risk, highest potential reward. Most businesses fail, so this strategy requires genuine business viability and skills, not just enthusiasm. Only pursue this if you have a validated business idea, people are willing to pay, relevant skills or willingness to learn quickly, ability to work 60+ hours per week initially, backup plan if the business fails, the career transition strategy for career changers, if you need to change careers, allocation, $4,000, emergency fund, $3,000 to $4,000, education, certification or training for new field, $2,000 to $3,000. Living expenses buffer during transition. This gives you runway to retrain and job hunt without desperation. You might take a pay cut entering the new field, and the buffer helps you survive that period. The goal is investing in yourself to access better opportunities. The ROI comes from higher income in the new career path, not from immediate returns. The real estate strategy for property investment. If you're interested in real estate, allocation, $3,000, emergency fund, $7,000, down payment on house hack multi-unit property using FHA 3.5% down loan. Example, $200,000 duplex, you live in one unit, rent the other. Your $7,000 down payment gets you into property ownership where the tenant helps pay your mortgage. Alternatively, $3,000, emergency fund, $7,000, down payment for investment property. if you can qualify for a loan with higher down payment percentage. Real estate strategies require good credit score to qualify for loans, stable income for loan approval, knowledge of local real estate market, willingness to deal with property management. The hybrid strategy, most recommended. Here's what I'd recommend for most. People combining security with growth, year 1. Allocation, $6,000, emergency fund, gets you to sleep at night. $2,000, index funds or retirement account, long-term foundation. $2,000, skill development or small business test, upside potential. Year 2 plus strategy, maintain $6,000 emergency fund. Contribute $400 per month to investments, $4,800 per year. Use remaining savings for business growth or career advancement. This approach gives you security from emergencies, long-term wealth through investing, upside potential through skills/business, flexibility to adjust based on what's working, the specific tactical moves. Now let's get specific about exact moves within each category. Emergency fund tactics. Keep in high-yield savings account, 4 to 5% APY currently. Use Marcus, Ally, or similar online banks for better rates. Keep in separate account from checking to avoid temptation. Name it emergency fund only as psychological barrier. Set up automatic transfers to maintain it. Only use for genuine emergencies, job loss, medical, essential repairs. Investment tactics. Open Roth IRA and max it out first, $6,500 per year limit. Invest in low-cost index funds, Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab. Consider VTI, Total Market, VOO, S&P 500, or target date funds. Enable automatic dividend reinvestment. Don't check it constantly, let it grow. Contribute consistently regardless of market conditions. Business investment tactics. Start with service business, lowest capital requirement. Use $500 for website, $500 for tools, $500 for marketing, $500 buffer. Validate idea with customers before investing heavily. Track ROI carefully. If not working after $2,000, pivot, reinvest profits to grow rather than withdrawing immediately. Keep business money separate from personal money. Skill development tactics. Choose skills with clear ROI, coding, marketing, sales, design. Look for boot camps or courses with job placement support. Prioritize skills that complement what you already know. Set deadline for completing and applying the skill. Measure success by income increase within 6 to 12 months. Network with people in the field while learning the quarterly review system. Every 3 months, review your $10,000 deployment. Questions to ask. Is my emergency fund still adequate for my expenses? Are my investments performing as expected? Is my business investment generating returns or learning? Do I need to reallocate based on what's working? Have my goals or circumstances changed? Adjustments to make? Move money from underperforming areas to better opportunities? Increase emergency fund if expenses have increased? Reinvest business profits rather than letting them sit idle? Rebalance investment portfolio if needed? Update strategy based on life changes, new job, moving, etc. The reinvestment protocol. Once your initial $10,000 is deployed, you're not done. You're just beginning. Every dollar you earn should be strategically deployed. For every $1,000 earned, $300 to emergency fund until fully funded, then redirect. $400 to investments, consistent wealth building. $300 to business/skills, accelerated growth opportunities. This 3-4-3 split maintains balance between security, long-term growth, and upside potential. Once emergency fund is fully funded, $400 to investments, $400 to business/skills, $200 to lifestyle. You need to enjoy life too. The common mistakes. To avoid mistake. 1. Keeping all $10,000 in savings forever. You've built security, but you're losing to inflation. Money sitting in savings is slowly becoming worth less. Deploy it strategically. Mistake 2. Investing all $10,000 with no emergency buffer. One unexpected expense, and you're selling investments at a loss or going into debt. Always maintain emergency fund first. Mistake 3. Spending $10,000 on one unvalidated business idea. Test ideas cheaply first. Spend $500 to validate before spending $5,000 to build. Most ideas don't work. Don't bet everything on one shot. Mistake 4. Lifestyle inflation. You hit $10,000 and immediately increase spending to match. Now you're back at zero with more expensive habits. Keep living below your means. Mistake 5. Analysis paralysis. You have $10,000 saved but can't decide what to do with it, so it sits idle for months or years. Perfect is the enemy of good. Deploy it imperfectly and adjust. Mistake 6. Emotional investing. Your friend is making money in crypto/stocks/business, so you dump your $10,000 into it without research. FOMO is not a strategy. Make deliberate research decisions. Mistake 7. Ignoring tax implications, contributing to wrong account types, not utilizing tax-advantaged options, or taking money out of retirement accounts early with penalties. Understand tax consequences first. The timeline expectations. Be realistic about timelines for different strategies. Emergency fund provides immediate psychological benefit and security. ROI is stress reduction and prevented disasters. Index fund investing, 10 to 30-year timeline for substantial returns. Don't expect quick results. This is long-term wealth building. Business investment, 6 to 24 months to know if it's working. Most businesses take 18 months to become profitable. Be patient, but track metrics. Skill development, 3 to 12 months to learn, 6 to 18 months to monetize effectively. Learning is quick. Building reputation and client base takes longer. Real estate, 1 to 5 years to see significant appreciation and equity building. Immediate benefit is monthly cash flow if you bought right. Understanding these timelines prevents premature abandonment of strategies that need more time to work. Chapter 11. The Mindset Mastery. Thinking like someone who has options. Having $10,000 isn't just about the money, it's about adopting the mindset of someone who has options. This psychological shift is what separates people who use their $10,000 to build wealth from people who blow through it and end up back at zero. Let's talk about the mental game, the abundance mindset versus scarcity. When you're broke, you operate from scarcity. There's never enough, opportunities are rare, you must grab what you can. This creates reactive, short-term decision-making. You take the first job offer because you're afraid another won't come. You buy on sale because it might not be this cheap again. You hoard resources because you might not have them later. Having $10,000 saved should trigger a mindset shift to abundance. Opportunities are abundant, you can create value, you can afford to be selective. But this shift doesn't happen automatically. You need to consciously reject scarcity thinking even after you have money. Practice abundance thinking. When evaluating opportunities, ask, is this the right opportunity? Not, is this my only opportunity? When making purchases, ask, is this the best use of resources? Not, can I technically afford this? When considering investments, ask, what's the expected return? Not, what if I lose it all? The person with abundance mindset makes better decisions because they're not desperate, they're strategic. The investment mindset versus consumer mindset. Consumer mindset asks, what can I buy with this money? Investment mindset asks, what can this money generate? When you look at your $10,000, what do you see? A new car? Consumer. An investment that generates returns? Investor? Capital to start a business? Entrepreneur? Down payment on an asset? Builder. The mindset you adopt determines what you do with the money, which determines your financial trajectory. Train yourself to think like an investor. Every time you consider spending, ask, what's the ROI on this? Before buying anything, ask, could this money generate returns instead? Categorize expenses as either investments, generate returns, or consumption, provide enjoyment but no returns. Minimize consumption until investments are generating enough returns to afford guilt-free consumption. This doesn't mean never buying anything enjoyable. It means being intentional about the split between investment and consumption. The long-term thinking versus immediate gratification. Broke people think short-term because they have to. When you don't know how you'll pay rent next month, planning for 10 years from now is absurd. But once you have $10,000, you can afford to think long-term. This is crucial because wealth building requires extended time horizons, immediate gratification. Spend $10,000 on a vacation, new electronics, furniture, feel good for a few weeks or months. Then it's gone and you're back to zero. Long-term thinking, invest $10,000 in stocks or a business. Feels like nothing is happening initially. 10 years later, it's worth $50,000 or more and generates ongoing returns. The ability to delay gratification separates wealth builders from perpetual consumers. Practice long-term thinking. Before any major decision, ask, where will this lead in 5 years? Visualize your future self and make decisions that benefit them. Calculate the opportunity cost of short-term choices. Celebrate long-term wins more than short-term gratification. Build systems that make long-term choices easier than short-term temptation. The calculated risk versus reckless risk. Having $10,000 doesn't mean you should bet it all on cryptocurrency or quit your job to follow your dreams with no plan. That's not calculated risk. That's gambling. Different thing entirely. Calculated risk means evaluating potential upside and downside, understanding the probability of different outcomes, having a backup plan if things don't work out, risking only what you can afford to lose, learning from each risk whether it succeeds or fails. Example of reckless risk: invest all $10,000 in a single stock because someone on Reddit said it's going to moon. Example of calculated risk: invest $2,000 in learning a high-income skill, knowing that even if the business idea fails, the skill increases your employment value. The difference is thought process, preparation, and having downside protection. The wealth builder identity. Here's something subtle but powerful. Once you have $10,000 saved, you need to see yourself differently. You're no longer a broke person who can't afford things. You're a person who has financial resources and makes strategic decisions about deploying them. That's a different identity, and identity drives behavior. People who see themselves as broke spend windfalls immediately. Don't invest because investing is for rich people. Accept low wages because that's what people like me make. Avoid opportunities because I couldn't do that. People who see themselves as wealth builders save and invest windfalls. Invest consistently because that's what they do. Negotiate hard because they know their value. Pursue opportunities because they believe in their capability. Same person, different identity, completely different financial outcomes. Build your wealth builder identity. Talk about yourself as an investor, business owner, or wealth builder. Make decisions consistent with that identity. Surround yourself with people who reinforce that identity. Consume content, books, podcasts, etc. that supports wealth building thinking. Act like the person you're becoming, not the person you were. The systems thinking versus goals. Thinking goals are outcomes you want to achieve. Save $10,000. Make $100,000. Build a successful business. Systems are processes that reliably generate outcomes. Save 20% of every paycheck. Review finances every Sunday. Test one business idea per quarter. Goals are useful for direction. Systems are what actually create results. Having $10,000 saved is a goal you achieved. What got you there was a system: budgeting, automatic transfers, spending discipline, income increases, etc. Now that you have the $10,000, don't abandon the system. The system is what maintains and grows it. Build wealth-generating systems: automatic investment contributions, monthly financial reviews, quarterly business experiments, annual skill development goals, weekly time blocks for income-generating activities. Systems remove reliance on motivation or willpower. They make wealth building automatic rather than optional. Chapter 12. The Momentum Effect. Why the second $10,000 is easier. Here's something fascinating that nobody tells you. Saving your first $10,000 is brutally hard. Saving your second $10,000? Significantly easier. Your third? Even easier. This isn't just psychological. There are mathematical and practical reasons why money begets money. Let's break down the momentum effect. The interest acceleration. When you have $0 earning 5% interest, you make $0. When you have $1,000 earning 5%, you make $50 per year. When you have $10,000 earning 5%, you make $500 per year. That $500 is passive income you didn't have to work for. It's your money working for you, and it compounds. Year 1, $10,000 becomes $10,500. Year 2, $10,500 becomes $11,025. Year 3, $11,025 becomes $11,576. You're earning interest on your interest. This is compound growth, and it accelerates over time. But here's where it gets interesting. If you continue saving while this compounds, the effect multiplies. You have $10,000 earning 5%. You also save $500 per month. Year 1, your $10,000 becomes $10,500 from interest, plus you save $6,000. Total, $16,500. Year 2, $16,500 becomes $17,325 from interest, plus $6,000 saved. Total, $23,325. By year 2, your interest alone, $825, is covering 1.5 months of your savings. Your money is helping you save faster. By year 5, you have $40,000 plus, and the annual interest, $2,000 plus, equals 4 months of your savings contributions. By year 10, the interest alone might exceed your annual savings contributions. Your money is doing more work than you are. The income momentum. Having $10,000 saved changes your income trajectory in ways that accelerate wealth building. Confidence leads to better negotiations. You negotiate a $5,000 raise you wouldn't have asked for when desperate. That's $5,000 per year, every year, compounding through future raises. Capital enables side income. You invest $3,000 in a side business that generates $1,000 per month. That's $12,000 per year in additional income. Time bought through outsourcing. You spend $500 per month on help, freeing 20 hours. Use those hours to build something generating $2,000 per month net. You're up $1,500 per month. Skills purchased accelerate earnings. Spend $2,000 on certifications that increase salary by $10,000 annually. That pays for itself in 10 weeks, then continues forever. These income accelerators stack. The raise plus the side income plus the outsourcing return could easily add $25,000 to $40,000 annually to your income. Now you're saving much faster. Maybe you were saving $500 per month before, but now you can save $2,000 per month while living the same lifestyle. At $2,000 per month, you save your next $10,000 in just 5 months instead of 20 months. The momentum is building, the network multiplier. With $10,000, you can afford to invest in networking, conferences, memberships, events, taking people to lunch. These connections lead to opportunities, job offers, partnerships, clients, mentorships, insider knowledge. Each opportunity creates more opportunities. Your mentor introduces you to potential clients. Those clients refer others. You meet a partner who has complementary skills. That partnership creates a business that generates serious income. This network momentum is exponential. Your first connection might lead to 3 more. Those 3 might lead to 9. Before long, opportunities are finding you instead of you hunting for them. But it all started with having the capital to invest in relationships. The credibility cascade. Having resources lets you present yourself professionally. Professional website, clients take you seriously. Quality portfolio, you attract better clients. Proper tools, you deliver better work, business cards, and materials. You look established, better presentation leads to better clients. Better clients pay more and provide references. References lead to even better clients. Within 2 years, you're charging 3 times what you started at because you've built credibility that commands higher rates. This credibility cascade started with having $2,000 to invest in professional presentation. The opportunity recognition. Here's something subtle. The more wealth-building activities you're involved in, the more opportunities you notice. When you're just an employee, you only notice job opportunities. When you're also investing, you notice investment opportunities. When you're also running a business, you notice business opportunities. When you're also building skills, you notice learning opportunities. Having $10,000 deployed across multiple strategies means you're exposed to multiple opportunity streams. You see more because you're paying attention to more areas, and opportunities tend to cluster. One good investment opportunity leads to hearing about others. One business success leads to other entrepreneurs sharing their opportunities. The momentum builds as you become the person who's involved in multiple wealth-building activities rather than just one. The confidence compounding success breeds confidence. Confidence enables bigger actions. Bigger actions lead to bigger results. You successfully save $10,000, confidence boost. You successfully invest it, another confidence boost. You successfully start a business, bigger boost. Each success proves to yourself that you can do hard things. This psychological momentum is incredibly valuable. People who've succeeded once believe they can succeed again. This belief causes them to attempt bigger things, persist through challenges, and ultimately achieve more. Meanwhile, people who've never succeeded doubt themselves, attempt smaller things, quit easier, and achieve less. The confidence momentum that comes from saving and deploying $10,000 strategically creates a psychology of success that enables much larger achievements later. The skill compounding. Every wealth-building activity teaches you skills. Saving teaches discipline and delayed gratification. Investing teaches risk assessment and long-term thinking. Business teaches marketing, sales, operations. Negotiating teaches communication and confidence. These skills transfer across domains. The discipline from saving helps with business consistency. The risk assessment from investing helps with business decisions. The sales skills from business help with salary negotiation. You're not just building wealth, you're building a portfolio of skills that accelerate all future wealth-building attempts. Someone with these skills can rebuild wealth if they lose it. Someone without these skills struggles even with money because they don't know how to deploy it effectively. The second, $10,000 timeline. Let's map out realistic timeline for saving the second $10,000. First $10,000 took 24 months of saving $500 per month with no head start. Second $10,000, month 1 to 12. Continue saving $500 per month equals $6,000 saved simultaneously. First $10,000 generates 5% return equals $500 simultaneously. Side business from $3,000 investment generates $500 per month profit equals $6,000. Total after 12 months, $12,500. You saved your second $10,000 in just 12 months instead of 24, half the time. Third $10,000, month 13 to 18. Save $500 per month equals $3,000. $20,000 generates 5% for 6 months equals $500. Side business generates $800 per month, grown from $500 equals $4,800. Raise from better negotiation adds $400 per month equals $2,400. Total after 6 months, $10,700. Your third $10,000 took just 6 months. 1/4 the time of your first $10,000. See the acceleration? The momentum effect is real and it's powerful. The lifestyle lock. Here's the crucial part. As your income increases through all these mechanisms, you must not increase your spending proportionally. This is called lifestyle lock, maintaining your current spending level even as income rises. If you were living on $40,000 and now you're earning $60,000, don't start living on $60,000. Continue living on $40,000 and save/invest the additional $20,000. This is how people go from saving $500 per month to $2,000 per month to $5,000 per month. Not by earning more alone, but by locking their lifestyle and saving the increases. Most people fail here. They earn more, spend more, and wonder why they're not building wealth faster. They're defeating the momentum effect through lifestyle inflation. The wealth breakpoint. There's a breakpoint where your money generates more than you can save from working. This is when wealth building accelerates dramatically. Example, you've built up $200,000 invested at 8% average returns. That generates $16,000 annually. If you're saving $12,000 annually from your income, your investments are now generating more new money than you're contributing. At this point, wealth builds primarily from returns rather than contributions. You've crossed the breakpoint from labor-driven wealth building to capital-driven wealth building. Getting to this breakpoint is the goal, and it's much faster than most people think. Start with $10,000, save $1,000 per month, and earn 8% on investments. You hit $100,000 in 6 to 7 years. You hit $200,000 in another 4 to 5 years. Total time to breakpoint, 10 to 12 years from $10,000 start. That's achievable in your 20s or 30s, giving you 30+ years of accelerated wealth compounding. The recession advantage. Here's something counterintuitive. Having capital during recessions is an enormous advantage. When markets crash, investments go on sale, Real estate drops in price, businesses fail, and assets become available cheap. People without capital can only watch. People with capital can buy. Your $10,000 might buy. Stocks at 50% off during a market crash, real estate at 30% below peak prices, a struggling business for pennies on the dollar, equipment or inventory from failing businesses. 5 years later, when the economy recovers, those assets could be worth 2 to 3 times what you paid. This is how wealthy people get wealthier during recessions. They have dry powder, capital, to deploy when everyone else is panicking. Having your first $10,000 means you can be an opportunist rather than a victim during the next downturn. The mentorship access. Successful people are more willing to mentor people who are taking action and showing results. When you have $10,000 saved and deployed strategically, you have proof that you're serious. You're not just dreaming, you're doing. This makes mentors more willing to invest time in you. They see you as someone who will actually implement their advice rather than just consume it. And mentorship accelerates everything. A good mentor can save you years of mistakes, open doors you couldn't access alone, and teach you frameworks that 10 times your effectiveness. The momentum from mentorship compounds with all the other momentum effects we've discussed. The second-order effects. Beyond direct financial impact, there are second-order effects, health improvements. Less stress means better health. Better health means more energy. More energy means better work. Better work means more income. Relationship improvements. Less financial stress means better relationships. Better relationships mean better support systems. Better support means more opportunities and resilience. Career improvements. Financial security means better performance at work. Better performance means promotions and opportunities. Career advancement means higher income. These aren't directly caused by the $10,000, but they're enabled by it, and they create their own momentum loops. The inevitability feeling. Here's the psychological shift that happens as momentum builds. Wealth starts feeling inevitable rather than impossible. When you're at $0, saving $10,000 feels impossible. When you're at $10,000, getting to $50,000 feels hard but doable. When you're at $50,000, getting to $100,000 feels inevitable. This psychological shift changes your behavior. You take bigger risks because success feels probable rather than lucky. You persist through setbacks because you believe in the eventual outcome. This self-fulfilling prophecy accelerates wealth building. People who believe wealth is inevitable act like wealthy people, which makes them wealthy. Chapter 13. The Common Traps. What derails? People after saving $10,000. We've talked about everything that can go right after saving $10,000. Now let's talk about what goes wrong. Because plenty of people save $10,000 and then blow it, waste it, or squander the opportunity. Here are the traps that derail people and how to avoid them. The celebration spending trap. You finally hit $10,000 saved. You've been disciplined for months or years. You feel like you deserve a reward. So you treat yourself to a vacation, new car, shopping spree, or other large expense. Suddenly you're back at $6,000 or $4,000 or $0. You celebrated yourself back into the exact position you were trying to escape. This is the most common trap. People hit a milestone and immediately undermine it through celebration spending. How to avoid it? Budget a small celebration. Dinner out, nice item under $200, but keep the bulk of your $10,000 intact. Your real celebration is the life changes the $10,000 enables, not spending it on temporary pleasure. The lifestyle inflation trap. You have $10,000 saved. You feel wealthier. You start spending more on daily life. Nicer apartment, better car, fancier groceries, more frequent dining out. Your expenses increase from $2,500 per month to $3,500 per month. Now you're saving less or not at all. Your $10,000 becomes a ceiling instead of a floor because your spending absorbed all future savings capacity. How to avoid it? Lock your lifestyle at your current level until your investments/businesses are generating enough passive income to justify increases. Don't let your spending rise with your savings. The bad investment trap. You have $10,000 and want to invest it. Your friend tells you about a can't-miss opportunity, or you hear about crypto/stocks/NFTs making people rich. You invest everything in this one thing. It crashes. Your $10,000 becomes $2,000 or $0. you're devastated and decide investing is too risky, so you never try again. How to avoid it? Diversify. Never put all $10,000 in one investment. Start with index funds and proven strategies. Only allocate 5 to 10% to speculative opportunities. Learn before investing. Significant amounts. The paralysis trap. You save $10,000 and then nothing. You can't decide what to do with it. Should you invest? Start a business? Pay off debt? Save more first? Months or years pass. The money sits in a savings account earning minimal interest, losing value to inflation. Analysis paralysis prevents you from taking any action. How to avoid it? Set a 30-day deadline to make a decision. Research options, but commit to deploying at least part of the money within a month. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction. The emergency raid trap. You build up $10,000, then your car needs repairs, $2,000. Then a friend's wedding requires a gift and travel, $1,500. Then a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, $3,000. Then another emergency, $2,000. Before you know it, you're back at $1,500 because you raided the fund for semi-emergencies and opportunities that felt urgent but weren't truly necessary. How to avoid it? Distinguish between true emergencies and inconvenient expenses. True emergencies, job loss, serious medical issues, critical home repairs. Everything else should come from regular cash flow, not emergency savings. The overconfidence trap. You successfully saved $10,000. You feel smart and capable. You start taking risks you're not prepared for, quitting your job without a plan, investing in things you don't understand, starting businesses in fields you know nothing about. The $10,000 gives you confidence, but not necessarily competence. You burn through it quickly through overconfidence-driven mistakes. How to avoid it? Confidence is good, but temper it with humility and learning. Take calculated risks with portion of your money while maintaining security. Build competence before betting big. The helper trap. You have $10,000 saved. Family and friends notice. Suddenly, people need loans for various reasons. You feel obligated to help because you have money and they don't. You lend $2,000 here, $1,000 there, $3,000 somewhere else. None of it comes back. Your $10,000 is now distributed among people who may never repay you. How to avoid it? It's okay to say no. It's okay to help in ways that don't involve giving away your capital. Maintain boundaries. If you do help, consider it a gift, not a loan, so you're not resentful when it's not repaid. The comparison trap. You have $10,000 saved, your friend has $50,000 saved, or your coworker just bought a house, or your cousin started a business that's making 6 figures. You feel like your $10,000 is nothing. You get discouraged. You stop trying because everyone else seems so far ahead. How to avoid it? Your only comparison should be to your past self. Are you better off than you were a year ago? That's what matters. Everyone's on a different timeline with different starting points. The impatience trap. You invest $10,000 and expect it to double quickly. When it doesn't, you get frustrated and pull out. Or you start a business and expect immediate profits. When it takes time, you quit. You cycle through multiple strategies, never giving any of them enough time to work. This prevents the compound effects from building. How to avoid it? Understand realistic timelines for different strategies. Stocks take years to show significant gains. Businesses take 18 to 24 months to become profitable. Give strategies adequate time before abandoning them. The hedonic adaptation trap. You work hard to save $10,000. When you hit it, you feel great for about 2 weeks. Then it becomes normal. The excitement fades. You stop appreciating what you've achieved. Without that appreciation, you're less motivated to maintain and grow it. You might backslide into old habits because the achievement no longer feels special. How to avoid it? Regularly remind yourself where you started. Look at your old bank statements. Remember how it felt to be broke. Gratitude for progress maintains motivation. Conclusion: the life that $10,000 unlocks. So here we are, 20,000 words about why everything changes after saving $10,000. Let's bring it all together. The core truth: $10,000 isn't rich. It's not even particularly impressive to people who've never been broke. But if you've been there, living paycheck to paycheck, stressed about every expense, unable to take opportunities because you can't afford the risk, you know that $10,000 is transformative. It's transformative not because of what it buys, but because of what it enables. The psychological freedom to think clearly without desperation, the security to survive setbacks without catastrophe, the capital to invest in opportunities that generate returns, the leverage to negotiate from strength instead of weakness, the time to focus on high-value activities instead of just surviving, the confidence to take calculated risks that advance your life, the foundation to build wealth that compounds over decades. These changes aren't theoretical. They're real, measurable, life-altering shifts that happen once you cross that $10,000 threshold. The path forward. If you don't have $10,000 saved yet, now you know why it matters and what's waiting on the other side. The path to get there. Step 1. Track every dollar you spend for 1 month. Brutal honesty. Step 2. Cut ruthlessly from areas that don't add value to your life. Step 3. Increase income through side work, skill development, or negotiation. Step 4. Automate savings so it happens before you can spend. Step 5. Protect your savings by keeping them separate and unavailable for impulse spending. Step 6. Stay consistent even when it's hard, even when progress feels slow. This process might take 12 months or 36 months depending on your income and expenses. Either way, it's faster than spending your entire life without ever building this foundation. If you already have $10,000 saved, the question is, are you deploying it strategically? Is it just sitting there? Or is it working for you? Is it generating returns, creating opportunities, buying you time and leverage? Having the money isn't enough. Using it strategically is what unlocks everything we've discussed. The multiplication factor. Remember, $10,000 isn't the destination, it's the foundation. Deployed wisely, that $10,000 becomes $25,000 in a few years through investment returns. The side business it funded generates $12,000 annually. The career move it enabled increased your salary by $15,000. The skills it purchased make you worth $20,000 more in the market. Suddenly that $10,000 has created $50,000 plus in value across multiple dimensions, and those returns compound into the next level. This is how people go from broke to comfortable to wealthy, not through one big win, but through strategic deployment of capital that creates compound effects across multiple areas. The final challenge. Here's your challenge. 6 months from today, where will you be? If you don't have $10,000 yet, will you have made meaningful progress toward it? Will you be at $3,000, $5,000, $7,000? Or will you be in the same place, having spent another 6 months wanting things to change but not changing them? If you already have $10,000, will you have deployed it strategically into investments, businesses, skills, or opportunities? Or will it still be sitting there, doing nothing, representing potential but not results? 6 months is enough time to make real progress if you commit to it. It's also enough time to waste completely if you don't. The difference between people who build wealth and people who stay broke isn't intelligence, luck, or privilege, though those help. It's willingness to do what's necessary, consistently, even when it's uncomfortable. Saving $10,000 is uncomfortable. It requires sacrifice. It requires saying no to things you want. It requires discipline when motivation fades. It requires believing in a future you can't see yet. But the discomfort of discipline is temporary. The discomfort of being broke is permanent until you change it. The truth about opportunity. Everything we've discussed, the business opportunities, the investments, the career moves, the time leverage, the negotiating power, all of it is available to anyone with $10,000 and the knowledge to use it. You don't need special connections. You don't need inherited wealth. You don't need perfect circumstances. You need $10,000 and the willingness to deploy it strategically. This is the most accessible wealth-building threshold that exists. It's achievable for most people in most situations if they prioritize it, and it unlocks opportunities that genuinely change lives. The question is whether you'll cross that threshold and seize those opportunities, or whether you'll spend your life watching others do it while you wish you had the chance. You have the chance. Everyone does. It's just a matter of whether you'll do what's necessary to take it, the last word. Everything changes after saving $10,000. Your stress decreases, your options multiply, your confidence grows, your trajectory shifts, your future brightens, but it only changes if you actually save it, if you actually deploy it strategically, if you actually use it as the foundation it's meant to be instead of just a number in an account. The information is here, the strategies are clear, the path is mapped out. The only question remaining is, will you walk it? Your future self, the one with options, opportunities, and actual wealth, is waiting for you to make the decision that creates them. Make it today. Save the $10,000, deploy it strategically. Build the life it enables. Everything changes after $10,000. Go find out for yourself. The final perspective. Why this matters more than you think. Before we close this out, let's talk about something nobody wants to hear but everyone needs to understand. Time is running out. Not in a morbid way, but in a mathematical way. The decade math. If you're 25 years old and you start saving now, you have 40 years until typical retirement age. That's 4 decades for compound interest to work its magic. Your $10,000 has 40 years to multiply. If you're 35 and you start now, you have 30 years. Still good, but you've lost a decade of compounding. That decade could have been worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in final value. If you're 45, you have 20 years. The math still works, but you need to save more aggressively because time isn't on your side as much. Every year you delay is a year of compound growth you'll never get back. The opportunity cost of waiting isn't just the money you didn't save, it's all the returns that money would have generated over decades. This isn't meant to create panic. It's meant to create urgency. Not reckless urgency, but focused urgency. The kind that makes you start today instead of someday. The generational impact. Here's something most people don't consider. Saving $10,000 and using it wisely doesn't just change your life, it changes your children's lives, and potentially their children's lives. When you build wealth, you break cycles. You become the ancestor who changed the family trajectory. Your kids grow up watching you invest, build businesses, make strategic financial decisions. They inherit those behaviors along with any wealth you build. They don't start from zero like you did. They start from wherever you get to. If you build $500,000 in net worth, they start there and build higher. If you build $2 million, they start there. This compounds across generations. Family wealth isn't built in one lifetime, it's built across multiple generations, each one adding to what the previous built. But someone has to be the first. Someone has to be the one who saves the first $10,000, invests it wisely, and starts the compounding across generations. That someone could be you. This decision you're making right now, to save or not to save, to deploy strategically or waste it, this decision echoes through generations. The regret prevention. You know what's worse than the discomfort of saving $10,000? The regret of not doing it when you could have. 10 years from now, you'll either think, I'm so glad I started when I did, or I wish I had started back then when I first heard about this. Every single person who's built wealth wishes they had started earlier. Nobody says, I wish I had waited longer to start saving and investing. Nobody. The regret of inaction is far more painful than the discomfort of action, especially when you realize the inaction was based on excuses that weren't even valid. I don't make enough. People making less than you have saved $10,000. I have too many expenses. You could cut more than you think. I'll start next year. You said that last year too. The economy is bad. It's always something. These excuses protect you from discomfort today, but they create massive regret tomorrow. The freedom definition. Let's reframe what we're actually talking about. This isn't really about $10,000. It's about freedom. Freedom from financial stress that keeps you awake at night. Freedom from jobs you hate but can't afford to leave. Freedom from saying yes when you want to say no. Freedom from opportunities you can't take because you can't afford the risk. That's what $10,000 buys. Freedom. Not complete freedom. You're not retiring on $10,000. But freedom from the constant desperation that makes life feel like survival instead of living. And here's the thing about freedom. Once you taste it, you want more. That first $10,000 gives you a glimpse of what's possible. It shows you that you can actually control your financial destiny instead of being controlled by circumstances. That glimpse motivates you to keep going, to save the next $10,000 faster, to build the next level of freedom, to keep climbing until you've built the life you actually want instead of the life you settled for. The compound identity. We've talked about compound interest, compound skills, compound opportunities. But there's one more compound effect we haven't fully explored: compound identity. Every financially smart decision you make reinforces your identity as someone who makes financially smart decisions. Every time you choose to save instead of spend, invest instead of consume, learn instead of coast, you're strengthening that identity. Over time, these decisions become automatic. You don't have to fight yourself to save. You just do it because that's who you are. You don't have to force yourself to invest. It's habitual. You don't struggle with financial discipline. It's your default. This compound identity is arguably more valuable than compound interest, because even if you lost all your money, you'd still have the identity and behaviors of someone who builds wealth. You'd rebuild probably faster than the first time, because you know how. Saving your first $10,000 isn't just a financial milestone. It's the beginning of becoming the type of person who builds and maintains wealth, and that identity transformation is permanent if you nurture it. The ripple effect. Your financial success creates ripples beyond your own life. When your friends see you saving and investing, some of them start doing it too. When your family sees you building a business, they realize it's possible for them. When your coworkers see you negotiating better compensation, they find the courage to do the same. You become proof that it's possible. Not easy, but possible. And that proof inspires others to try. This isn't about ego or showing off. It's about being the example that helps others believe they can do it too. The person who breaks the cycle and shows others the path. How many lives might change because you changed yours first? You can't know. But the ripple effect is real. The starting line, look, we're 27,000 words into this, and here's the simple truth. All of this means nothing if you don't start. You can understand every concept in this video. You can agree with every point. You can feel motivated and inspired. And none of it matters if you don't actually begin saving. The distance between where you are and where you want to be is crossed one step at a time. And the first step is deciding that you're going to save $10,000 and use it strategically. Not maybe. Not I'll think about it. Not someday. Today. Right now. This moment is when your financial life changes, if you decide it does. Open your banking app, set up an automatic transfer to a savings account, even if it's just $50 to start. Take the first step today, not tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow is always one day away. Today is the only time that exists. Everything changes after saving $10,000. But first, something has to change to save that $10,000, and that something is you. Right now. Your move. The information is yours. The strategies are laid out. The path is clear, the math works, the psychology is explained, the opportunities are real. The only variable left is you, your decision, your action, your commitment. Will you be the person who looks back in 5 years and says, that video changed my life because I actually did what it said? Or will you be the person who says, yeah, I watched that once. Seemed interesting while your financial situation stays exactly the same? The choice is yours. It's always been yours. Nobody can save the $10,000 for you. Nobody can deploy it strategically for you. Nobody can build your wealth for you. This is your responsibility, your opportunity, your future. Everything changes after $10,000. Now go make it happen.